guys, so today's video we're going to be tying this Hotspot or like modified old Trusty. I tied the original on here a while back and you guys like that fly. So this is like a little modified Hotspot version of that I use. So we're going to go over the materials real quick that I used to tie this fly, and then we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Your thread for this fly, this is just 6/0 hot pink thread. I use this throughout the whole fly because the rest of the materials will cover it up. You could go, if you don't want so much of like a hot pink Hotspot, you could do like green with this, or you know, any Hotspot color, but you can go like lighter with pink. I've done both instead of the bright hot pink. For the ribbing, you're going to just use small black wire, and for the body, the medium hollow tinsel in black. And then the tail of this fly is the Coq de Leon dark. You could use the light as well. Again, I talked about that in previous videos. To me, I can barely tell a difference between the light and the dark. And then for the dubbing, we're back, and you guessed it, it's the Ice Dub Peacock Black. Like I said, I use that on almost all of my nymphs, and all of my other nymphs probably have some sort of ice dub. Ice dub is just like, to me, it's the best dubbing there is. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into tying this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start out our hook in the vise here like we always do. I put it inside out, or upside down, and then I slip the bead on. I do this for all of my smaller flies. It just helps you get that bead on there quicker. Sometimes it can be a pain doing it in your hands there. Go ahead and secure that in there. Then we're going to go ahead and start our thread. I'm going to use hot pink. You can use a pink as well. I've done both for this fly. I just prefer something a little brighter because, you know, that's the whole point of a Hotspot, is to be pretty bright. So I prefer to go with the hot pink, but you can tone it down by just using like pink or something. So we'll go ahead and start at the beginning up by the bead and work our way down to the bend in the hook. Come in and snip off the excess. And so on the original old Trusty, I use pheasant tail fibers for the tail, but on this one, the Hotspot old Trusty, I use just basically to switch things up. It doesn't honestly matter at all, but I use some Coq de Leon fibers for this one instead. So just take like a little pinch. There's probably 7 fibers there, and we'll go ahead and do a pinch wrap to just get them on there. I usually give like 3 turns and then let go to pull them to length. And I don't really do the, you know, hook shank length or whatever that little rule is. I don't know, it's just too much to think about, really. Well, not even too much to think about, it's just, I don't know, I just throw them on there and get it over with. I just pull them to where I think they're gonna look okay. So once we have the tail tied on, the next thing we're gonna do here is get a little piece of extra. So this is small black wire. To me, it actually looks like extra small, but anything will do. I mean, this is a size 16, so you can use smaller wire. I wouldn't use anything above small for this fly. But we're gonna go ahead and start it at the front of the hook there and work it all the way back to where we tied in the tail. And again, I start at the beginning of the fly just to keep, when I'm tying in the wire, because it helps keep the underbody of the fly even. Sometimes I'll do like a taper if it's just like a thread body or something, but on flies like this where you're gonna put a collar, it kind of makes it look tapered anyway, so I don't really worry about a taper. I just like to keep the body very uniform as I'm tying, so that's why I tie that wire in at the beginning, so that it's even the full way back. And once you bring the wire all the way back to the back there, we're gonna go ahead and get that black hollow tinsel, and we're gonna tie that piece in on the near side, just a little tag end. This stuff's thin, so it's not gonna add really any bulk. And I like to leave a little bit of the pink showing there at the end, just so it gives something for you to start that first wrap of this stuff on. But at this point you can just even out the body a little bit with the thread, and then you're just gonna keep that at the front. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap that black tinsel all the way up to the head of the fly. And then go ahead and secure that off with some thread wraps. And come in with our scissors and snip that off. So once you cut off the tinsel there, I'm gonna actually adjust this fly. So once you get the tinsel off, you can go ahead and, for this, I mean, you're not really holding anything on. I'm gonna counter wrap it, but you don't really have to counter wrap it since it's not holding any material down. And I usually rib it about 4 times. I think that's 5, but that's okay. And then we're gonna do the trick again where you're gonna crisscross and go backwards with your thread about 3 or 4 wraps, and then crisscross it back so you're going back the correct way. Tighten it down, helicopter off your wire. That's so you can counter wrap but also secure the wire so that the thread's not pushing it back off. And then the last thing, the magical ice dub peacock black. Throw a little collar on this fly. And like I told you guys in previous tying videos for nymphs, I mean, I use this stuff on, like, I would say 80% of my nymphs. Like, it's just magic. And I would actually say 95% of my nymphs have ice dub. Not the ice dub peacock black, but ice dub in some form. I don't know, the way it sits on the fly and makes a collar and, you know, has that little bit of sparkle in it, just to me is what makes this stuff so good. But we're gonna go ahead and build up that little collar there. Again, I don't like getting very thick with my collars, so that actually looks really good right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the hotspot on this. And when I do my hotspots, I don't know if I explained this in previous videos, but not even just with hotspots, but when I'm going to end the fly, instead of putting a bunch of thread wraps there in front to secure everything down and take up more room, I just start the whip finish as soon as I get my collar built. And so with this, I just whip finish about probably 10 to 15 wraps there, and then, you know, cut off the thread. It actually snapped off, but there's a little piece of it waiting there. So go ahead and snip that off. But I mean, that builds up a pretty nice collar just with the whip finish itself. And then I actually am out of toothpicks at the moment, but I would get my toothpick at this point and get my UV resin, put a little bit on there, and UV cure it to finish off this fly. I like to put a little bit of UV cure on all of my flies just to make them a little bit more durable. But I mean, you could fish this like this. It might not last as long because that thread's probably gonna pull out on that collar. But yeah, I mean, this fly has been super productive for me too. It's a slight variation from the old Trusty that we tied on here. The tail, instead of pheasant tail, it's Coq de Leon, and the ribbing for this fly is not silver, it's black. And we add the pink hotspot with a black nickel bead instead of silver. So basically, you know, just the collar and the body are the same, but everything else is a little different. And I don't tie this in size 18s, I tie it only in 16. You know, you could tie this in whatever size and it's gonna work, but I don't know, it's just like a little preference of mine. I don't carry too many flies, so I like to sort of limit how many of each I carry in each size. So this is one of those flies where I only carry one size of it, but the size 16 seems to be working out pretty good for me. So I hope you guys like this one. This is definitely, I mean, I've already done my top producers on here, which are the olive paragon and the pheasant tail. But I mean, if none of those are working, this is probably one of my first go-tos, is this, along with the original old Trusty. If the water's maybe a little dirtier, I'm probably gonna lean towards this one, rather than the original, which is more of like a natural pattern. Yeah, I hope you guys like this one. Let me know anything else you guys want to see me tie. If you'd prefer like another streamer tying video or another nymph tying video, I could show you guys some more nymph patterns. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future. Hopefully I can do some fishing here soon. And leave a like on the video, helps keep my morale to make more, and leave comments, any suggestions you guys have. And until next time, peace.